So, guys, we all have our views and we form our views on people's opinion. Let me tell you that views are subject to social conditions. It has ingredients of political and economical factors too. So, in other words, we can say that whatever views we have on people's opinion, it somewhere deeply reflects our personal understanding about the situations, about the concept or any concern, because we are highly governed and influenced by the environment where we stay, where we interact, right? So in the same line I want to discuss this with you. So for instance, when I read one book called India That Is Bharat, Desai Deepak highlights the cultural pride in his own rhetoric manner. He says that we Hindus, which means we all, are the greatest civilizations. And the reason he puts forth here is this, that we survived thousands years of tyrannical forces, invasions, and even colonizations. We have faced brutality of the people. But one thing which remains intact is that our connection to the cultural root. So he highlights that we are strongly connected to our roots, and this was not easy for other civilizations or other evil forces to come and dismantle it. And that's what how he concludes his praise when it comes to doing share of appreciation to Hindu civilization. Now, Jai Sai Deepak was not the only person who reflected his view about Hinduism in this way. In fact, one of the famous veteran leader who is no more with us, means late Jawaharlal Nehru, the first Prime Minister of India. He writes one book called Discovery of India. We all know. In the book, Jawaharlal Nehru writes something similar, which means he is also doing some contribution. I think he is doing for the people, that the people must take Jawaharlal Nehru seriously. And where Jawaharlal Nehru says that we are different civilization because we faced brutality of invasions, but still we didn't lose our connection, which means we are culturally very rooted. But he denies to give credit to the cultural root. Instead of it, he says that it is of the reforming temperament with which we managed to survive for this long time. In other words, he was trying to indicate that we have had number of reformers, and these number of reformers dealt with problems, and they did their greatest contribution to the shaping of the country, especially in the face of a struggle. So every 100 years, every century, we have one reformer. So he also takes pride in calling himself Hindu, but the credit he gives is not to the cultural root, but to the reforming mindset of the people. I mean, ever lived on this soil. Now, this is not just limited to Jawaharlal Nehru. There we comes on our third character, where the same discussion is being held. I mean, in the Constituent Assembly, and you can also read it under volume 17. And the discussion is taking place between R. Radhakrishnan and Dr. Bhimrao Ambedkar. Also, there is the same thing in the similar fashion, where he ensures that people must know about the cultural prowess of this country. And with the help of this cultural prowess, we people survived this thousands years of slaveries and everything. So, in some or other ways, we can say Radhakrishnan is also claiming that due to somewhere this cultural impact on Indians' mindset, the unity of the culture and the deep practicing in the culture, I think has helped a lot to survive all these kinds of darkness, right? Now, to this, Dr. Bhimrao Ambedkar has a different say. Dr. Bhimrao Ambedkar, raises this beautiful question to this very claim of Radhakrishnan, where he first asked Radhakrishnan, when you claim that we Hindus lived life for thousands years and we retain this very cultural identity, and therefore the credit must be given to cultural root, then to this he asked, if it is so, then we also must figure out and deeply investigate the life we had in the last 100 years. Dr. Bhimrao Ambedkar is trying to indicate to all the people, especially the members sitting in the Constituent Assembly, about the fact that we talk about life, we have to be able to make a distinction between two planes of life. So for instance, he says that there is also section of people whom life is just a particular kind of event where they are ready to compromise with everything. In this, he highlights that in the same country we have had number of people, the large section of people who were denied of their basic rights. They were kept aloof and separated from the basic rights. For example, they were not allowed to read and they were not allowed to participate in the major events, which means it was a next level slavery imposed on them. We can say that these people lived, but the question comes, did they really live or not? Because we have also other form of life which says that some people sacrifice their life and they do it for the sake of country's development, and this is also a definition of life. So in Indian context, he just tries to bring the attention of the constituent assembly's member that I think it is not right to take credit or give credit to cultural root. We have to investigate this because last thousands years were also a deep shock for most of the people living in this country. So for you, yes, these people might have lived for thousands years without changing their identity, but I would then ask question, what kind of life they lived? I mean, was it full of dignity, or were they allowed to practice a common person is basically is entitled to do? Then to this we don't have any answer. So I think we have to be clear on everything, especially when we claim a certain thing, right? And that's how he demonstrate his acumen. Now my personal opinion to this is that each of these three people, and all of them are authors, understood the things from their own perspective, from the perspective they could see the life around them, and I can say it was greatly influenced by their personal experiences that they had from the environment and in the families where they were born, because all these connections and affiliations, I mean, put a lot of influence on people's writings and on the way they form their opinion. So this is what I wanted to share, but the only thing which I wanted to highlight here is this: we have our views and these views might contradict other views, but this contradiction doesn't mean to be against of a certain opinion. It must be accepted as one's personal perspective, and each of us have our own perspective, and since it is highly governed by personal environment and the learnings, and therefore it is subject to a deep respect. This is what I wanted to share. Till then, take care. Bye bye.